Let's set the record straight by calling out each of Charlie Kirk's logical fallacies in his viral debate.
I think you would irrefutably say that it was the teachings of Christ for one man and one woman.
If you're basing an argument on a single source, that's an appeal to authority. In this case, Charlie says gay marriage is wrong because Jesus says so.
Because the church tradition has been unbroken for 2,000 years, and they derived it from scripture of that original language.
If you're saying we must do something just because we've always done it, that's an appeal to tradition. Like when Charlie argues against gay marriage because it's supposedly been the standard for 2,000 years.
And instead, we have a lot of people going to university to go study North African lesbian poetry. It might sound good, but it doesn't necessarily, A, either development the content, the character, or the development of the soul, and B, it does not necessarily also give you the skills necessary.
If you twist your opponent's argument into something that's easier to attack, that's a straw man, like when Charlie brings up people getting degrees in North African poetry, which isn't a typical thing.
For example, as a side note, here in this country, you guys invented the idea of free speech. You brought it to the world. You guys do not have free speech in this country anymore. 30 people a day are arrested in the UK for inflammatory social media posts. Someone by the name of Lucy Connolly is currently facing prison time for a Facebook post that was critical of migrants. It is normal, unfortunately, for civilizations to get away from how they once operated and how they once were. Now, to your question, does that answer the first part of your question? You were saying, why do they get away from monogamy? I want to make sure I'm answering your question.
I would say I don't feel that that's a full answer.
Okay, so
if you change the subject to dodge a question, that's a red herring. Asked about the nuclear family, Charlie pivots to free speech in England.
Serially, women are killing themselves more. Why is that?
I think that even if both men and women have become unhappier, men's suicide rates have risen as well, and that's also been exponential. Can you at least concede that feminism offers only one potential explanation? There could be also other explanations.
Of course, obviously, but feminism is the glaring thing in front of us, where we have fertility rates down, we have marriage rates down, we have unhappiness up, and we did something in the 1960s out of the universities of Brady Friedan and Gloria Steinem and all these feminists that basically said, you're trapped in a home, go get a job, freeze your eggs, take birth control, and all of a sudden women are way unhappier than they were 40 years ago.
If you blame something just because two things seem connected, that's a false cause. He blames feminism for rising unhappiness, ignoring the many other factors at play.
Again, he can, as a prime minister or president, he can do whatever he wants.
You can't.
Okay, all right, we're going to just go back
sign
and
an executive order and change the constitution.
And if your claim just repeats itself with no real support, that's begging the question. Charlie says Zelensky can do whatever he wants because he's the president. That's not an argument, that's a loop. But let me know what I missed and follow me if you want to argue like a pro.